I still remember the exact moment I realized I was invisible. It was a Tuesday afternoon at a networking event. I'd been standing in the corner for 45 minutes, drink in hand, watching everyone else laugh and connect while I just existed. I tried joining 3 different conversations. Each time, people would glance at me, give a polite smile, and somehow the circle would close back up, like I was never there. I went home that night and sat in me car for 20 minutes before I could bring myself to go inside, and I asked myself a question that terrified me. What if there's something fundamentally wrong with me? Have ye ever felt that? That sinking feeling that everyone else got some social manual ye never received? Here's what I didn't know then. I wasn't broken. I was just sending the wrong signals. 3 months after that networking event, I was at rock bottom socially. I'd stopped going to events. I'd make excuses to avoid group dinners. I was slowly isolating myself, convinced that people just didn't like me. Then I found a book called The Like Switch by Dr. Jack Schafer, a former FBI behavioral analyst who spent 20 years recruiting spies. I know what you're thinking. FBI? Spies? What does that have to do with making friends? Everything. Because Dr. Schafer's job was to get the most guarded, suspicious people on the planet to trust him enough to commit treason. If he could do that, surely there was something I could learn. And buried in that book was a formula. An actual mathematical formula for friendship. Friendship equals proximity plus frequency plus duration plus intensity. When I first read it, I thought it was stupid. Friendship is math? Come on. But then I started testing it. And what happened next? It didn't just change my social life. It changed who I was.
People don't bond over perfection. They bond over shared vulnerabilities that feel understood.
There was this coffee shop near my apartment. I'd been going there for months, always ordering the same thing, always sitting alone, always leaving without talking to anyone. The barista, let's call her Sarah, would take my order with a professional smile and move on. I was just another transaction. After reading about the friendship formula, I realized I had proximity, I was there, and frequency. I went 3 times a week, but I had 0 duration or intensity. I'd order, pay, leave. 15 seconds of interaction max. So I decided to change just one thing. The next time I went in, when Sarah asked, "What can I get you?" I paused. 3 seconds. I counted them in my head. Then I looked at her. Actually looked at her, not just at the menu, and said, "You know what? You seem like you'd know. What's actually good here that nobody orders?" She blinked, stopped mid-transaction, and then she smiled. A real smile. Oh my God, finally someone asks. Everyone just gets lattes, but we make this honey cardamom cappuccino that's insane. We talked for 2 minutes, just 2 minutes, but when I left, she said, "See you tomorrow?" Not "have a nice day." She created continuity. She wanted frequency. That 2-minute conversation changed our entire relationship. Within 2 weeks, she'd remember my name. Within a month, she'd wave when I walked in. Within 2 months, we were actually friends. All because I understood the formula. But here's what really blew my mind when I dove deeper into the research. Dr. Schafer explained that within the first 7 seconds of meeting ye, people's brains are making 11 major decisions about ye. Not conscious decisions, primitive lizard brain decisions. Their amygdala, this ancient threat detection system buried deep in their brain, is asking one question: friend or foe? And I was failing that test every single time. See, I thought being polite meant being reserved, quiet, not imposing. I thought people would appreciate me giving them space, but their primitive brains were reading that as threat, unknown, possibly dangerous. I was triggering their foe response without saying a word. Dr. Schafer identified 4 friendship signals, 4 simple things that tell someone's primitive brain, I'm safe, I'm friendly, you can trust me. And the crazy part, once I started using these consciously, everything shifted. The eyebrow flash, or the thing I thought was stupid until it worked. When you see someone, you raise your eyebrows for about 1/6 of a second. I know, it sounds ridiculous. I literally laughed when I first read it. But then I learned that anthropologist Irenis Ebel-Ibisfeld studied this across dozens of cultures, from remote tribes in Papua New Guinea to modern Europeans to isolated communities in Japan. The eyebrow flash is universal. It's hardwired into humans as a signal of recognition and non-threat. I was skeptical, so I tested it. I started doing the eyebrow flash with people I passed in my apartment building. People I'd walked past for 2 years without interaction. Within a week, 3 different neighbors had started conversations with me. One invited me to a barbecue. Another asked if I wanted to grab coffee. Nothing else changed. Just the eyebrow flash. The head tilt. The signal I accidentally discovered. One day I was talking to my friend Marcus about all this research, and he said something that stuck with me. You know what's weird? When you're excited about something, you tilt your head. But when you're nervous, you hold it completely rigid. I hadn't noticed, but he was right. So I looked into it. Turns out, tilting your head slightly exposes your carotid artery, one of the most vulnerable parts of your body, to your brain. This signals, I trust you enough to expose my weakness. It's why dogs tilt their heads when they're trying to look cute. It's why people consistently rate individuals who tilt their heads as more trustworthy. I started incorporating this into conversations, especially when someone was sharing something personal. The difference was immediate. People started opening up to me in ways they'd never had before. The Duchenne smile. Why my fake smiles were betraying me. Here's something that killed me when I learned it. I thought I was smiling at people, but I was doing what psychologists call a social smile, mouth only. And here's the devastating part. People can detect fake smiles at a neurological level, even if they can't consciously explain why. A genuine smile, what French neurologist Guillaume Duchenne identified back in the 1860s, involves 2 muscle groups. The zygomatic major lifts the corners of your mouth, but the orbicularis oculi creates crow's feet around your eyes. You can't fake that second part. It only activates when you genuinely feel positive emotion. So I had a choice: stop fake smiling or find a way to generate genuine positive emotion. I chose the latter. Before social interactions, I started thinking about something that genuinely made me happy. My niece's laugh, my dog being ridiculous. That time, I finally beat that impossible video game level. Something real, something that reached my eyes. And people responded completely differently. Progressive proximity, the mistake that kept me trapped. Edward T. Hall's research on proxemics identified 4 zones of personal space. Public, 12 plus feet. Social, 4 to 12 feet. Personal, 1.5 to 4 feet, and intimate, 0 to 1.5 feet. I was making 2 fatal errors. Error 1, I'd stay at public distance, thinking I was being respectful, but I was actually signaling disinterest. Error 2, when I'd try to correct this, I'd move too close too fast, triggering people's threat response. What I needed was the staircase approach. Start at social distance. With each positive interaction, move slightly closer. But, and this is crucial, watch for discomfort signals. If they lean back, cross their arms, turn their body away, you've moved too fast. Step back, rebuild. It's like a dance. You're leading, but you're also reading whether they're following. A networking event. Round 2. 3 months after I started applying this research, there was another networking event. Same venue, same type of crowd, but I was different. I walked in with a plan. I set an intention. I'm going to make 3 people feel valued tonight. Not, I'm going to get 3 business cards, or I'm going to impress people. Just make them feel valued. I spotted a guy standing alone, looking uncomfortable. I recognized that look. I'd worn it for years. I walked up, eyebrow flash, stopped at social distance. These events are always awkward, right? I said, tilting me head slightly. He laughed, actual relief in his eyes. Oh my God, yes. I've been trying to figure out how to lead without looking antisocial. We talked for 10 minutes. I used empathic statements. That sounds challenging. I can see why that would frustrate you. you, instead of jumping in with my own stories. And then something happened that never happened before. Someone else approached us. Then another person. Within 20 minutes, I was in the center of a group conversation, and people were genuinely engaged. When I left that night, I had 5 new contacts. But more importantly, I had proof. This worked. But here's where it got real for me. A few weeks later, I was talking to me therapist about all this. I was excited, showing her the research, explaining the techniques. She listened. Then she asked me a question that stopped me cold. Why do you think you needed a formula to do what most people do naturally? I didn't have an answer. She continued. You've been so afraid of rejection that you've been waiting for other people to show interest first. But psychologist Robert Cialdini's research on reciprocity shows that people like people who like them. You've been waiting for them to go first, so they've been waiting for ye to go first. Nobody goes first. Nobody connects. That hit me like a truck. I'd been protecting myself from rejection by never offering anything worth rejecting. The friendship signals worked because they forced me to go first, to signal interest, to take the risk. And here's what blew my mind. When you go first, people almost always reciprocate. It's not even a conscious choice they're making. It's a psychological reflex. The 3-second pause, the hardest thing I've ever learned. My biggest breakthrough came from the simplest technique. When someone finishes speaking, pause for 3 seconds before responding. 3 seconds doesn't sound like much, but try it right now. Count to 3 in silence. It feels like forever, right? Most people start formulating their response while the other person is still talking. They're not listening. They're waiting. I was absolutely guilty of this. I'd be so anxious about what to say next that I'd miss half of what people were telling me. The 3-second pause changed everything. It forced me to actually process what people said, to treat their words as valuable enough to consider. And people noticed. I remember the first time I did this with me sister. We were having a conversation about her job, and when she finished venting about her boss, I paused. 1, 2, 3. Then I responded. That sounds incredibly frustrating. You're trying to do your job well, but she's actively making it harder. Me sister looked at me weird. Have ye been actually listening to me? Yeah? You never do that. You usually jump in with advice or change the subject. I didn't even realize I'd been doing that. Research on therapeutic relationships shows that clients rate therapists who pause before responding as more competent and empathetic. The pause signals what ye said matters enough for me to actually think about it. Here's something wild I discovered. Psychologist George Lowenstein found that humans experience curiosity as a genuine itch that needs scratching. When we encounter an information gap, our brains become fixated on closing it. I accidentally stumbled onto this with my coworker David. We were talking about weekend plans, and I mentioned I'd had the weirdest encounter at the grocery store. He asked what happened. Oh man, it's too long a story. I'll tell you Monday. Monday morning, David came to me desk before his coffee. Okay, what happened at the grocery store? He'd been thinking about it all weekend. I'd created what psychologists call an open loop, an unfinished narrative that kept me in his thoughts. But here's the important part. Ye can't abuse this. Use it once per conversation, max. Otherwise, you're just being withholding and manipulative. The key be authentic storytelling, not manipulation. There's this famous study by psychologists Dutton and Aaron that changed how I think about building connections. They had an attractive woman approach men either on a scary suspension bridge or on a solid, stable bridge. The men on the scary bridge were far more likely to call her later and express romantic interest. Why? They experienced physiological arousal from the bridge, elevated heart rate, adrenaline, and misattributed it to attraction to the woman. This is called misattribution of arousal, and it's why doing something mildly challenging or exciting with someone creates bonding. I tested this by suggesting unusual activities instead of typical hangouts. Instead of wanna grab coffee, I'd suggest there's this weird vintage bookstore I've been wanting to check out. Instead of dinner and a movie, I'd suggest trying that new rock climbing gym. The bonding was noticeably stronger. Your brain associates the positive arousal, the novelty, the mild challenge with the person you're experiencing it with. Reading the signs. When I finally understood if people liked me, for years, I couldn't tell if people actually enjoyed talking to me or were just being polite. Then I learned about reciprocal signals, mirroring. Psychologist Tanya Chartrand documented something called the chameleon effect. When people like ye, they unconsciously mirror your body language. If ye lean in and they lean in, that's rapport building. Pupil dilation. This one's wild. When people see something they like, their pupils dilate involuntarily. You can't fake this. It's controlled by the autonomic nervous system. Barrier removal. Watch what people do with objects. If they move their coffee cup or bag from between you, they're opening up. If they create barriers, they're protecting themselves. Time extension. If they find reasons to continue the conversation. Oh, before you go, or that reminds me, they're enjoying the interaction. Once I knew what to look for, I could actually tell when connections were forming. 6 months into this journey, I was at a friend's birthday party. Not my friend, really. A friend of a friend. I barely knew anyone there. Old me would have found one person I sort of knew, attached myself to them for the night, and left early. But I decided to put everything into practice. I walked in, intention set, make people feel valued. I used the 4 friendship signals with everyone I met. I asked questions and actually listened to the answers. I paused before responding. I validated people's emotions instead of trying to top their stories. About an hour in, something weird happened. People started coming to me, introducing their friends to me, including me in conversations I hadn't initiated. At the end of the night, the birthday girl, who I'd met once briefly, hugged me goodbye and said, "I'm so glad you came. You made everyone feel so welcome." I made people feel welcome at someone else's party. That's when I knew I wasn't invisible anymore. Here's what I need ye to understand. These techniques work. The research is solid. The friendship formula is real. But none of it matters if you're using it to manipulate people into liking someone you're not. These aren't tricks to get people to like ye despite who you are. They're tools to help ye communicate who ye already are more effectively. Because here's what I learned. I wasn't unlikable. I was just communicating poorly. I had value to offer. Everyone does. I just needed to signal it in a way that people's brains could recognize. If you're where I was, feeling invisible, feeling like everyone got a manual you never received, I want you to try something. For the next 30 days, choose one person ye want to connect with better. Week 1, practice the 4 friendship signals. Eyebrow flash, head tilt, genuine smile, gradual proximity. Make these your baseline. Week 2, add empathic statements. Every conversation, validate their emotions twice. Don't insert your own stories, just reflect theirs. Week 3, implement the 3-second pause. After they speak, count to 3 before responding. Fight the urge to fill the silence. Week 4, create frequency. 5 brief positive interactions per week minimum, even if it's just a smile and hey. Document what you notice. How do they respond differently? How do you feel differently? Here's the part that still amazes me. When ye connect authentically with someone, both of your brains release oxytocin, the bonding hormone, the same chemical released between mothers and babes, between best mates. Research by Paul Zak shows that oxytocin increases trust, empathy, and generosity. And here's what's beautiful. It's bi-directional. When ye make someone feel good, your brain releases oxytocin too. Connection doesn't just benefit them, it benefits you. That networking event where I felt invisible, that wasn't just painful socially, it was painful biologically. We're wired for connection at a cellular level. I'm not gonna tell ye I'm now the most popular person in every room. That's not true, and it's not the goal. But I'm not invisible anymore. I have genuine friendships. I can walk into social situations without that crushing anxiety. I can read social signals and respond appropriately. Most importantly, I stopped seeing myself as fundamentally broken. I wasn't broken, I just needed better tools. And now ye have them too. The friendship formula, the 4 friendship signals, the 3-second pause, the reciprocity principle. These aren't just techniques, they're a framework for being the kind of person who makes others feel seen, heard, and valued. Because at the end of the day, that's That's what everyone wants. To be seen, to be heard, to matter. You can give that to people, and in giving it, you'll receive it back. That's not manipulation, that's connection. And connection is what makes us human. Now go out there and stop being invisible.